We are here because we are dedicated to helping the entire CrossFit community. Determined to elevate coaches, box owners, athletes, and everything in between, we believe that this mission will begin right here, right now. While this time and this goal begins with you, our hope is that you take this fire ignited within you and weave it into your own life with the same unrelenting passion to give those you have the privilege of coming in contact with the best hour of their day.
Welcome to the show, Royi Metser, Director of Business Development for InsideTracker. So really great to have you on. You were in our coaches development group earlier today. So a lot of FaceTime with you today.
I'm loving every minute. Thanks for having me, Jason.
You just did a 4-mile run?
I did. As I told you this morning, I'm training for my first full marathon. So in the peak training, I would say it's in about a month. So I just knocked out a 4-miler.
First full marathon?
That's right.
What's the longest you've run prior to that?
I'm up to 18 in the training, but before that I had done a couple of half marathons.
What's the longest you'll get to in training for the 26?
So I'm working with a coach. His name is Matt Daniels, and he's got me. He's got a 20-miler on the schedule for me on Sunday, and I think that might be the longest one.
This coming Sunday?
This coming Sunday. That's right.
And you're doing the Cape Cod Marathon you mentioned earlier. When's that?
October 31st. So it's on Halloween. I am not planning on dressing up, to be clear.
I'm sure you'll see a lot of people doing that. Yeah.
I know.
So you're hitting your 20 on October 2nd. So you have 4 weeks. Do you taper then?
Yeah, I think he'll have me taper for the last week or two before the race. Yeah.
So here's my opinion. Not that you asked for it. I think people training for marathons run way too much.
I've heard that before.
You know, and injuries don't happen on the race day. They happen, building up. I think it's great that you have your big run and then 4 weeks. I see a lot of people hit that like 18 or 20 miler a week prior, maybe 2 weeks prior. It's like, man, your body can't recover that fast. But I've seen plenty of people train for marathons with their longest being a half. So, but I think for a lot of people, especially doing your first, they need to build up that confidence.
Exactly. Right. And my coach has been great, slowly ramping the mileage up. I'm up to over 30 miles a week now, the last few weeks, which is a lot. It definitely takes an adjustment. And listening to my body is really the key, making sure that if I'm on the fence about doing a workout, I typically will not do it. I either rest or cross train. So I'm trying to be very conservative.
Yeah. Listening to your body is key. But that's really great. What's your goal time?
It's for me, it's pretty ambitious. I'd like to run at sub 340. I don't know if that's in the cards, but I'm gonna go for it and see what happens.
Sub 340. So what's that? That puts you at what, like 8-minute miles?
It's about an 8:20 pace, I think, average pace across the whole race. So.
Well, let's talk about why you're really here, and that's InsideTracker. What are you seeing, if anything, in your blood after training for this marathon, or what kind of caused you to do this? I know we spoke earlier, so I want to get to your story about your cholesterol and everything else. But first and foremost, for the listeners, I'm a huge supporter of InsideTracker. I've been using InsideTracker since at least 2016. And it's something I try to do twice a year, every 6 months, get my blood test. We talked about it, but CrossFitters are really data-driven, and I think to a fault, they're data-driven on the numbers inside the box, meaning their scores, their performance. Right. And I get so many people when I hear that, when I see it, when I talk to them, and they're like, "Oh, my Fran time, my deadlift, my snatch," and one of the first follow-up questions, I'm like, "Cool, how many grams of protein did you eat today?" And they're like, "Well, I don't know." I'm like, so you track all of this stuff, but if you're listening to this, if you're a CrossFitter and you've been to your level 1, the foundation of the hierarchy of the development of an athlete is nutrition. So I'm always like, okay, You count all of this stuff that's not the foundation, but then you ignore the foundation, which, I don't have to give analogies and metaphors, but would be the equivalent of building a house from the attic down. Like, hey, we keep score of this, but not this. So A, track your nutrition. That's just a life lesson there. B, I would say the same holds true for your sleep. I wear a Whoop. I think it's okay. I don't think it's like the most amazing thing. I think people put a little too much stock in it. However, it's an accountability partner for your sleep, which most people don't have. So, we talk about 4 pillars of health: sleep, stress, fitness, and nutrition. I think, way too skewed. People track their fitness, not their nutrition, not their sleep. And, stress is a little harder to track, but I'd say, whether it's breathing exercises or meditation, you should be incorporating all of that. Now, nothing's going to give you a more true representation than of what's going on inside your body than getting your blood drawn. So that's really what kicked it off for me. It was at the time that I was doing, heavy duty macros. And while I was losing weight and feeling good, I was like, hey, maybe eating, 4 servings of Cinnamon Toast Crunch every day and sticking to my carbs isn't the best thing for my body. And it was one of those, tests that I was like, okay, I need to be a little smarter. Like, I get it, protein, carbs, and fat, but there is better and worse options there. So long way of getting to, if you're a CrossFitter, ultimately you're doing this for health, right? We talk about work capacity across broad time and modal domains throughout the years of your life. That's CrossFit's definition of health. And you need to have an understanding of what's going on. So talk to me a little more about InsideTracker.
Yeah, sure. And I couldn't agree more with what you just said. And you asked me why I'm running this marathon. It's really because of InsideTracker. I have InsideTracker to thank for the motivation to do it. So as we talked about this morning, I got tested with InsideTracker the last time in May. So it's now September. So it's been about 4 months since my last test. And I live in Boston, so this was after a pretty extensive period of being relatively secluded at home, not going out very much, not exercising very much with the pandemic and the lockdowns around here. So I wouldn't say I was in the best shape, and I was anxious to get my results in May because I historically have been someone that's been very active and very health conscious when it comes to my fitness and my nutrition especially, but have not been as diligent about it recently. And lo and behold, when I got tested in May and I got my analysis from InsideTracker and my recommendations from InsideTracker, what I saw was cholesterol levels that are higher than they've ever been, both total and LDL. A vitamin D level that was on the verge of being deficient, triglycerides that were higher than they've ever been, and an inner age that was 10 years older than my actual age.
So I'm gonna pull up my inner age while you're
Yeah.
chatting. My first one, I remember getting that. My wife and I did it back, 5-6 years ago. And I was like, I literally think I was 70 on the inner age. And that was one of the big okay, so right now, my most recent test, which was September 30th, so just about a year ago right now. So I'm due for my follow-up, which I will do. I will actually schedule it right after this. I was 45.1. Now my true age is at the time 42, so it's improved. But
better than me.
Well, that was now, and I'll tell you what, that was because I've learned so much, really what helped me, because the first time I got it, I was so high. And then I made some of the changes that were recommended. So it helped.
Yeah, for me, it was a big kick in the butt. And it was the spark that I needed to make a change. And I went from not exercising at all. Again, I'm someone that exercise has been something that I do religiously 5-6 days a week for as long as I can remember, 12, 15 years. I see it as a form of therapy for me. I do it after a long day at work, and it clears my head, and then I feel like a different person. I went from not exercising at all to saying, screw this, I need to do something. And I signed up for a full marathon really on a whim. I found the first one that was accepting registrations. It happened to be the Cape Cod Marathon at the time, and said, I'm training for this thing. So InsideTracker, I really have to credit for that motivation.
But you weren't a runner.
Well, I love running. I always have loved running. It's never been something that I've taken as seriously as I am now. So I would do it once a week, maybe twice a week, but I would lift weights primarily. So that was my primary form of exercise before this.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of what you're saying, I think the listeners can understand and appreciate. You know, you got tested kind of right around the time things were opening back up, but still very closed down, especially in the Northeast. And makes sense that you're vitamin D deficient. I mean, you're coming out of winter A in the, in Bostonish area, which, is notoriously cold and gray and cloudy. But then you're talking, you weren't going outside probably quite a bit. And I think a lot of people, and I think one of the themes you heard a lot of when it came to COVID was the importance of vitamin D. And I think, again, whatever it looks like, for me, I always look to my cholesterol because it runs high in my family, much like yours. But vitamin D was something I checked. And what I love about InsideTracker, different even than like the doctor, right? Because I get my annual physical and they test your blood. And you were sharing your story, but it was very similar. I had super high cholesterol this go around. And the listeners know I'm big into carnivore. I've added some fruits and veggies back into my life. I would say I'm meat based as opposed to those that say plant based, right? Meaning 70-80% of what I eat is some sort of, animal based protein, and the rest is like Mediterranean type fruits and veggies. But my cholesterol was really high, and I know there's more to it. My LDLs were high, but the particle size and the ratio, everything was in check. But the doctor was like, hey, we want to put you on statins. And I told the doctor, I was like, there's no chance I'm going on these. Like, give me some time and I will improve it. And 3 months later, I drastically improved it simply by making changes to my nutrition, some of which I went into my InsideTracker results and saw, some of which, I talked to some people smarter than me about what I should be doing. But the point is, InsideTracker is not like your doctor that's like, hey, you're off, figure it out. I mean, they give you specific things to be eating and categories of food, within your results.
That's right.
So you were talking about when, even right now I'm looking at, have my InsideTracker pulled out, daily actions, spend less time sitting. Cool. I stand all day, practice mindfulness daily. Cool. I do that. Eat more avocados. Check. Right. So it's like, gives you these things. It's like going to your CrossFit affiliate, like, hey, I want to get better at pull-ups, and your coach just being like, cool, there's the pull-up bar, versus like, hey, let's get you on this program, and this is what it's going to look like. We get coaching for everything we do, yet for some reason, when it comes to like what's happening inside of our body, we neglect it. So you tested high cholesterol and then immediately got some feedback and some solutions.
Yeah, it was, I mean, there's nothing like seeing it on a piece of, on a screen and in a way that's really easy for me, an average consumer, to understand. I don't have a medical background, but what's nice about InsideTracker is that it presented it in a way that was easy for me to interpret and to understand. And I could see, I've been testing with InsideTracker for 5 years now. I could see over the 9 times that I've tested with the service, the trend over time, and I know that I'm able to lower my cholesterol because I've done it in the past. So all of that together, combined with the recommendations that I got, really spurred me into action. So yeah, again, I have InsideTracker to credit for the last few months of training, and I'm eager to get my blood tested again. I may do it before the marathon just to see how the training has affected the levels.
So what's something you would say to the listeners, that maybe, we touched a little bit of a nerve on, and they're saying, hey, he's right. I care about my performance. I do my best to track my nutrition. I try to get 8 hours of sleep. Why is this important?
Well, I think it really comes down to a few things. The first is it's and I'm seeing this more and more and hearing this more and more, you can't be fit, which we all want to be, unless you're healthy first. That's number one. Number two, you can't optimize what you don't measure. That's number two. And number three, I think all of us, we want to do what we love for as long as we can. For me, I love to run. I want to be able to run for as long as I can. For you, that might be deadlifting or CrossFit. And you have to take care of your body, especially as someone that's putting your body constantly through a lot of stress in training. And we all have busy and hectic lives these days. You have to have that picture of what's happening inside to know how to fuel your body for optimal performance. And performance doesn't necessarily just mean physical performance. It could be performance at work, performance at home with your family and with your kids, and to fuel your body so that you're able to do what you love for as long as physically possible. And really, that's what InsideTracker's mission is. So like we talked about this morning, the company was actually founded by a guy whose name is Dr. Gil Blander. He's a PhD, but he's an aging researcher. That's his background.
Not like he's getting older. He researches aging.
Correct.
That's one of those things where it's like, depending on where the comma is, it has two different.
Right. He's not an aging. Well, I guess we're all aging, but
right.
He's devoted his life to researching the process of aging and trying to help other human beings delay the onset of aging-related disease and live longer, healthier lives. So that's the mission of the company. It really starts from this health span and longevity angle of helping people not just extend the number of years that we have here, but also extend the quality of those years. And for lack of a better analogy, really to be able to, when we're 80 years old, 85, 90, 100 years old, hopefully we all live that long and longer, we're able to, wipe our own butt and play with our grandkids and whatever it might be, right? So that's really the mission of the company.
Well, I'm going to tell you now, I recommend a bidet for everybody. So you still have to be able to reach back there, but the bidet does the majority of the work for you. So check out Hello Tushy. But I want to ask you this before you go on. Have you taken your level 1 CrossFit?
No, I haven't. Okay. No.
So I would add that to your list post-marathon.
Okay.
But here's what you're saying. And I think for the listeners, if they took their level 1, if not, I'm sure you can catch aspects of this, but we have a lecture called What is Fitness? And in What is Fitness, the founder of CrossFit, Coach Glassman, had 4 models. We had the 10 general skills, we had the hopper, we had the metabolic pathways, and then lastly, something that he created is the sickness, wellness, fitness continuum. And everything that you're describing is really a part of that. And the truth is, this is a big mistake a lot of CrossFitters make. You can track your fitness. So fitness, by our definition, is your work capacity across broad time and modal domains. Summarizing that, it means, how much work can you do regardless of how long, right? From 0 to 26 miles, or what it is, running, deadlifting, pull-ups, etc. Like the more you can do, the faster you can get it done, the more fit you are. However, what we've learned is you can cheat that area under the curve. In other words, obviously the easy ones are pharmaceuticals, right? Give you a nice cycle of vitamin S, and all of a sudden your fitness is going up. What does that mean for your long-term health? Yet to be determined, right? We know, having seen the bodybuilders in the 60s, 70s, 80s, I mean, Ronnie Coleman is in a wheelchair, right? And I mean, that dude, lightweight baby, was squatting 1,000 pounds, and now he's in a wheelchair. But you can also cheat that area under the curve by overtraining or by loading yourself up with carbohydrates, all of these things that, boom, may give you a boost in your performance, may help you qualify. I mean, the best in the world are often not the healthiest, even if they're standing on top of the podium. There's a difference between fittest and healthiest. And I would hope, if you're listening to this, you're smart enough to realize you're probably not going to the CrossFit Games. I hate to burst the bubbles, right? Maybe masters, maybe teams. Hey, maybe Matt Frazier's tuning in today. I don't know. But point is, for most people, we should be chasing fitness, but we should be chasing fitness in such a way that it's actually improving our health, our volume under the curve, our fitness, like you said, not just today at 43, but 53, 63, 93 years old. And, if you can snatch 225 today at 43, a little ambitious for me, but let's call it 185, a little more realistic. If I can snatch 185 at 43, and by the time I'm 53, maybe it goes up, but then back down and I'm at 185 again. And at 63, I'm at 135. And at 73, I'm at 95. Like, hey, you're playing with your grandkids if you're snatching 95 pounds. It's a big picture is like, we can't only be focused on performance, because that's not always a direct impact or correlation to your long-term health. And I think for those listening, if they think back to their level 1 or go find it on YouTube or go attend their level 1 again, this makes sense when it comes to that continuum that Coach Glassman created.
Absolutely. And I think today it's never been more relevant given the events of the last 1.5. And I think I'm hearing from a lot of the coaches and trainers and gyms that we're working with, they feel like they have a role to play in helping people build fitness, but on the bedrock of health. They're on the front line, and their clients and their members are seeking solutions and help to make sure that they are as healthy as possible. So when something like the pandemic hits, like it did 1.5 years ago, they're not behind the 8 ball and their body is as resilient as possible. So I think it's never been more relevant than it is today.
Yeah. And, something to be said about you. And then for the listeners, you go to that same continuum. What we tell them is fitness is a hedge against sickness. The more you can push those markers towards fitness. And by the way, those markers are things like your cholesterol, your triglyceride level, your body fat percentage. The more we push those to the far end, the more when a pandemic happens and you don't have a gym or you're not getting that vitamin D, you're protected. It's a hedge against sickness, right? Someone in your scenario who saw those numbers drop, now imagine you weren't cognizant or aware of these things. And, that's our parents, our grandparents that we really had to look out for during COVID, especially where it's like, I don't like to get all political on this. That's my partner Fern's job. But the point is, it was the people with other, comorbidity factors that are really getting impacted by it.
Absolutely.
And the more healthy we can be, which starts with our blood and starts with what we're eating, the more protected we are when life comes at you, whether it's a cheat day, whether it's a week vacation, or whether it's a pandemic.
Agreed 100%.
So what were some of the big numbers you looked at? So if someone, let's break it down. If someone's interested in learning more, there's a few different options. Can you talk us through what some of those options are?
Yeah, sure. I think first it's important to understand really what the principles that InsideTracker was founded on are. And the first is really personalization. So I think this is becoming commonplace in pretty much every industry or in every product that we use on a daily basis today, but we're all different, we know that. And Gil, Dr. Blander, our founder, he believed that you have to be personalized if you want to help someone live a longer, healthier life. And his philosophy was, well, the best way to do that is to start inside. The same way as I described this morning when we chatted, the same way you take your car into the mechanic and they pop the hood open and they plug a computer into it and they run some diagnostics and you're able to see what's broken and then the car can run smoothly. Gil founded InsideTracker with the philosophy that there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be doing the same for our body. And so that's really why the first step of doing InsideTracker is that blood analysis. It's really InsideTracker's version of popping the hood open on your body, so to speak, and getting that accurate and clear picture of where you stand and identifying where you can improve. So that's number one. Number two is it's really this concept that it's not good enough to be normal. We all want to be better than that. We all want to be optimal. And so the ranges that are set for the blood biomarkers. Let's say you go into a physician and you get a routine blood work at a physical. The ranges that you get back for those markers, typically through that routine physical, are normal ranges that are really generic, very broad. About 95% of the population falls within these normal ranges because they're really designed for the purpose of screening you for disease. but InsideTracker wants to hold you to a higher standard. And so those optimal ranges are created for every one of those markers, right? And the third principle is really to use the available science to cut through all of that noise and BS that's out there. And there is so much of it around nutrition, performance recovery. I'm sure a lot of the people listening, coaches, affiliate owners, are bombarded with questions from their members. And as a consumer, it's a very difficult industry to operate within and to understand, what am I supposed to be doing for my goals, for my health, for my body? I know that before I joined InsideTracker, I was a frustrated consumer. I was confused, and at times I was paralyzed. I was trying to gain muscle, like I described this morning when we chatted, and I didn't understand how to do that. There was so much information out there, and I didn't know what to trust. And the fourth principle is really to help someone get a really complete and holistic picture of what's happening inside. So it starts with blood, but also their age, gender, ethnicity, height, weight. We added DNA into the equation. We now have connections with Fitbit and with Garmin. We're working on Apple, like I said earlier this morning, and then with hopefully we'll integrate some other devices like Whoop and Aura in the future. But really able to give someone a really holistic picture of all of the different metrics that are available that are coming from their body. And so those are the principles that it was founded on. And some of the metrics that were most valuable to me, I would say, I think my story is really the lipid group. The cholesterol markers are something that I've been struggling with for years. And so that still remains a core focus of mine. I mentioned vitamin D. So vitamin D was something that I was always in the 40s, which is in the optimal range for me. When I got tested in May, I noticed that it was 31, which is right on the verge of being clinically deficient. 30 and below for me is deficient clinically. You mentioned the Northeast, so I wasn't spending a lot of time outside. And most importantly, I was not as diligent about taking my vitamin D supplement. And now that I'm training for my marathon, it would have been pretty risky to put on that much mileage with vitamin D that is deficient, because it puts me at a higher risk for injury and stress fractures and whatnot. So those are really the two pieces that for me were the ones that I'm most focused on at the moment.
Well, and you mentioned one of my favorite aspects of InsideTracker is that they have those different levels. And most importantly, you see that progress, especially you start doing this over 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and you can really see that improvement. And it's almost like you guys gamify it a little bit, right? Like, hey, make these changes, now try to get it into the optimized zone, or, try to just improve, different aspects. But again, it always comes with lessons, and it's really cool to see all the integrations. I didn't even realize you were integrated with Garmin, and I have a Garmin, so I got to figure out what that looks like now.
Yeah, go into your mobile app and hook it up. So what we're doing is we're looking at heart rate, we're looking at sleep, and we're looking at activity data. And we have a really cool feature in our mobile app that's called Pro Tips. And so now, because we're able to see, the app is able to see, let's say, how you slept the night before, it can push you a notification that's real time that day using your sleep data from the night before, and suggest something that you can do that day in your nutrition or your lifestyle to optimize your sleep that night. Let's say you didn't sleep well the night before. So we're able to now provide more real-time and continuous recommendations, which is a very, very exciting feature.
Very cool. Yeah, I love all those integrations. And like I said earlier, even whether it's about the Whoop or the Garmin or InsideTracker, it's like, I'd say InsideTracker has the most valuable data, because it's real. Like, your blood doesn't lie what's going on in there. And I think I've said this before about the Whoop. I think to a fault, people rely on it like, oh, I'm not recovered, I am recovered. And sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not. But when it comes to your blood, it's going to a lab, it's getting tested. Now, for coaches out there, right? So the people listening, hey, I just want to learn a little more about what's going on inside my body. They can head over to InsideTracker. There's actually a link in my Instagram where they can click and learn a little more about it, right?
That's good.
And then for coaches, they can do the same, but they can either be offering it to their clientele, or if you're an affiliate owner, this could be something that you bring to the box. And it goes back to anything. If you give your members results, they're going to stay and be longer term members at your affiliate.
Yeah, so we launched a couple of programs this year that you're describing. One of them was launched in March, and it's called InsideTracker Pro, and it was built specifically for coaches, trainers, dietitians, nutritionists, other health, wellness, and performance practitioners. And the philosophy behind that program is we have a lot of, or had a lot of coaches and still do that use InsideTracker personally and may even recommend that their clients do it. But until we launched InsideTracker Pro, we didn't have a formal and structured way for a coach to make InsideTracker a tool that they can use to level up as a coach and better serve their clients. And what I did and what we did is we interviewed a bunch of coaches to understand what challenges they were facing and whether InsideTracker could be useful to them as a coach. And what I learned is two main challenges that they're facing. The first is, as a coach, I heard over and over again that they feel like in many cases they have an incomplete picture of their client. And so they're forced to make some educated guesses about their nutrition, about their training. They may have a client that comes to them constantly tired, fatigued, unable to complete the workouts the way that they would like, constantly getting injured. And the coach was forced to guess and then make an educated guess about what to prescribe that person, whether it was to reduce their training workload because their educated guess was that maybe they were overtrained, but perhaps it's something that they couldn't see. And popping the hood open with a blood analysis was something that almost every coach I talked to agrees would be incredibly valuable. However, trying to get a blood analysis for overall wellness and performance and the markers that are correlated with wellness and performance, things like vitamin D and testosterone and cortisol and vitamin B12 and iron that are not included in a routine blood test, was at best incredibly challenging and at worst impossible. So that was the first big problem that I heard. And the second big problem that I heard is, let's say you are able to get a blood test done. Let's say you're able to go to your doctor and they can do it. What you get back is a report that, first of all, is not personalized to, let's say, a CrossFitter or a runner. And second of all, it comes with no recommendations, specifically nutrition and lifestyle recommendations attached to it. So there's no actions that are clear for the individual to take in order to improve what needs to improve. And when I heard these two problems, it made so much sense for us to create a program that made it incredibly easy and attractive for their clients and for them to, again, incorporate InsideTracker into their service and use it so that they and their clients can better reach their goals. And so that was really the genesis of InsideTracker Pro. So we launched it in March. And the way that the program works is, if you're a coach or other professional, you can sign up to become an InsideTracker Pro. There's no cost to do it other than the cost of doing InsideTracker yourself, which is the only requirement that we have to join the program, because we feel like if you're going to use this with your clients, it's critical that you have your own experience.
You have to. I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, not to mention, you should want to do this.
Right.
Like
I
you
would
said,
hope so.
It's peeking under the hood, you know,
Right.
and I can tell you again from experience, when I was full bore, like 100% carnivore, I felt great, and I still feel great. But during that period of time, especially, I felt the best I've ever felt, which was also when my cholesterol was the highest it's ever been, right? So these are things you're not aware of, or what your vitamin D is, or, you know, so many other, you know, what your fasting sugar looks like. All of those things are so important. So you should want to do this just so you're aware of what's going on. But like anything, it's like we preach about working out. If you're coaching a workout, you should have done it. You should have tested it.
Yeah.
And it's the same here.
Exactly. So we try to make it as easy for coaches as possible to do it. And so we did create a 50% discount that coaches, if you're a coach, you can sign up for InsideTracker at a pretty nice discount. So you get 50% off, and you get a free inner age, which is that measure of your biological age, which for some can be good, for others can be a kick in the butt, like it was for me. And for you. And then what you're able to do then is you're able to offer InsideTracker to your clients and your members at a discount. So you're able to offer them a 25% discount. Then there's also an opportunity as a coach or an affiliate owner to earn additional revenue. And then we also arm coaches with a coach dashboard that allows them, if they want to access their clients' InsideTracker results and recommendations through a secure online software platform. So what we heard from coaches is, hey, I would send my athlete or client to their doctor, and then I would have to text my athlete or client, hey, can you text me your vitamin D level, or can you send me your blood test report in an email? And so that problem goes away because we now have this online portal that you can use to access all of your clients' results from one central location. And then the last thing we've done is we've created a resource center for coaches with a ton of educational content to help them really level up as coaches on the topics that we are experts on. So blood biomarkers, why they're important, their implications on wellness and performance, how to interpret low, high, or optimal levels. Again, for the purpose of wellness and performance, we're not crossing the line into, diagnosing someone with disease. Anytime there is a marker that's outside of normal, we suggest they go to their doctor. But really for the purpose of helping someone just feel and perform their best, we're creating a ton of content to help a coach guide their athlete and client through their InsideTracker experience and through their InsideTracker recommendations. And so that's the way that the program works.
Yeah, and if you think about it from, whether you're a coach or an affiliate owner, imagine, I walk in or Royi walks in and you know a little bit more about what's going on inside my body. Your conversations get a little deeper. It's not simply, hey, are you ready for today's workout? A step beyond that might be, how'd you sleep last night? But now we have a step beyond that, which is, hey, did you have your oatmeal today? Or did you have salmon this week? Because we were supposed to try to increase, our omega 3s. You can really have deeper conversations, set deeper goals. And one thing I've said all the time is your members only really connect their health with what's going on in that 1 hour at the box, meaning if they're getting results, they fail to recognize, hey, it's really what I'm doing these other 23 hours, but I'm going to keep paying this guy to let me train here. So if you do a good job keeping them healthy, even though they're putting in the work the other 23 hours, they just make that connection to, I go to, best hour CrossFit. I've lost 10 pounds. My biomarkers are moving in the right direction. By the way, I feel great. Let me keep going here. Those are the people you want, the people that are putting in the work inside and outside of the box. So walk me through this, Roy, because I don't know that I understand it. Someone's listening to this. All they want to do is find out results for themselves. Where do they go?
So if they want to do it themselves, they can go to the page that we set up for you, and they can book a time to meet with a quick onboarding call to meet with one of our team members, and we'll talk about them. We'll get to know them a little bit better. We'll explain a little bit more about the program and about InsideTracker, and if it's a good fit for both the coach and for InsideTracker. From there, we'll help them get signed up again for themselves at that 50% discount so they can experience it for themselves. And
so
then
they get 50% off. Anybody listening can qualify for 50% off?
That's correct. If you're a coach, trainer, or other professional, you get 50% off InsideTracker. That's right.
Awesome. And most people that listen to this fall into one of those categories. So really great. Now, if they do that and then they coach other people, they can sign up for Pro, which then gets them a percentage of anybody that they recommend. So in other words, if box owners decide to do this, it creates another revenue stream. So not only does it create better relationships with your members, longer term retention, but you're also creating another revenue stream for your members that do this. And that shouldn't be the reason you're doing it, but it's a nice little perk and a nice little reminder to get people going with it.
That's exactly right. So of course, the main benefit is the benefits of the product, right? So being able to offer your clients and your members simple, quick, and convenient access to blood analysis, to the markers that we know are critical for wellness and performance that are not included in a typical disease or blood test or really a disease screen, right? Again, things like vitamin D and testosterone and others. Optimal ranges that are personalized for a CrossFitter for every marker. Nutrition and lifestyle recommendations that are backed by peer-reviewed literature. The ability to retest easily, to measure progress objectively. So you as a coach or you as an affiliate owner can show your member or your client that, hey, what we're doing is working. And not just subjectively because you feel better and because you're losing weight and you're improving your body composition, but also under the hood, it's improving your markers of health, wellness, and performance. So all of those benefits are really the main reason to sign up for the program. And we're really looking for coaches and affiliate owners that believe in this and want to offer those benefits to their clients. And then of course the discounts and the revenue share, those are all icing on the cake.
Absolutely. And of course, if you guys have questions about it, I've done this numerous times. You know me, you can reach out to me as well. I'm happy to answer some questions, but I would say go to my Instagram, Coach Jason Ackerman. Most of you probably already follow it, and go into the link in bio, InsideTracker, one word, click on that. And right from there, you can book a demo, 15 minutes. And from what I remember, that's actually how I got started all those years ago. And I've never looked back. We only ever have people on this podcast that have products we support. Fern's getting tested. Young Katie has gotten tested. By the way, she's in like all of the optimal zones, which is I do want to have a urine test on Katie. I feel like maybe she's on steroids, but because she's been really cranky and moody lately too, so she might be having roid rages.
Red flag.
Do you test for steroids?
No.
Oh, so Katie, you got by on this one, but
Yeah.
no, I think it's because she has such a low stress job. That's
That must
really
be
what it comes. That's
That
what it.
must be it. Maybe you need to give it a little more work. I don't know.
That's it. Young Katie needs. That's what she needs, more work. But book that call and you'll get even more insight into it now. And correct me if I'm wrong. If they're a coach or a trainer, once they take their test, do they have a follow up with an RD?
That's right. So if you're a coach or professional, we do offer a consultation with a registered dietitian on our team to review your results. It's about a 30-minute consult. That is something that's only available to InsideTracker pros.
Cool. Yeah, I remember doing that myself, and really super educational. Even as someone that thought they knew a lot about nutrition at the time, really opened my eyes into some of the things I needed to implement and some of the things I needed to remove. And I think that's a big part of it. It's not always add this, but sometimes it's remove that. And
right.
Again, just a peek under the hood, you could be feeling like you're doing great. And it's also one of those scenarios, I think it's like you don't know what you don't know. And I equate that to, you might feel okay, but imagine how you could feel. Those are the things people neglect in CrossFit.
That's right. And I've heard from so many people that use it. Of course, when there's symptoms or you don't feel great, it makes sense to peek under the hood. I've also heard from people who didn't know that they had a problem that did InsideTracker and got that peek under the hood, and they realized there was an invisible plateau that they were fighting against. There was something that was hamstringing their performance that they didn't even know about. And when they corrected it, they felt even better than they did before. A common one in, let's say, the runners that we work with is ferritin. A ton of runners that are iron deficient or too low in their ferritin levels for the number of the level of activity that they're doing, and oftentimes it's not caught. And once they're able to bring those iron levels up, they feel and perform a lot better. And obviously that also applies to CrossFitters. So I hear it all the time.
Awesome. Well, like I said, they can check out the link in my Instagram. I'm sure Katie will throw it in the show notes as well. But is there anything else you wanted to add, Roy, before we wrap up today?
No, that's it. I just want to say that first of all, I appreciate you having me on, and I am leading these programs, so I'm really here to support anyone that has any questions or wants to learn more about it. When you book a demo, that demo is going to be with me. We'll have a chance to do that for 15 minutes live, answer any questions that they have, and basically, if they're ready to get going, get them onboarded and get this in their hands so that they can offer this to their members and use it.
Yeah. And like I said, I think regardless of where you fall in the fitness world, if you're a member, you need to be doing this just to learn about what's going on inside your body. If you're a coach, you should be doing this and recommending it to the people that come to your classes. And if you're a box owner, you should be, it's all trickle down, right? If you're a box owner, something I would consider, we get this question often. It's like, hey, what should I give my coaches for the holidays? Holidays are coming up. What better gift to give them than blood result? I mean, something that is going to benefit them, but really long term, it's going to benefit you as the box owner, because if your coaches do this, they're going to pass it on to the members. And like I said, yeah, the commission you make is great. That's not why you're doing this. You're doing this to keep your members healthier and to keep them as long-term members of your facility. But I would highly recommend that. And I'm sure if you're a box owner and you set up this call, Royi will take care of you in some way when it comes to, hey, I want to gift this to my 5 or 10 coaches. That'd be awesome. I mean, that was just an idea I came up with, to be fully honest. Just what happens all day long, Royi.
No, we see that. We see that with our gym partners.
Oh, I didn't come up with that idea, you're saying?
Well, we'll give you credit.
Right.
We'll give you credit.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That. But it's great, and I would certainly do it. I would certainly make sure that's something I was doing as a box owner. So really cool. I'm very pleased and proud to be part of the InsideTracker team along with you. It's been great, getting to know everyone that's been involved over the years. And there's a reason I'm still using you guys, and it's because you're the best out there, and you're always doing stuff for the right reasons, which is exactly why we had you on the show. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you having me on.
So you never miss an episode of the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel and on all major podcasting platforms at Best Hour of Their Day. Thank you so much for tuning in and for being a part of the best hour of our day. See you next time.